Hello loves and welcome to today's video. It is finally warm enough to read outside. It took a while to get here, but it's finally here, so it is time for some summer book recommendations. These are books that I think are good, like beach reads, which to me means a book that you don't want to put down, that you can read relatively quickly, and is not a bummer. And what is a bummer is going to be different to different people. I'm a thriller horror reader. Some of these are going to involve people dying, but they're not depressing about it. That's the qualifications I chose for these. Let's get started. The first book is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers and the sequel, Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jessie Q. Satanto. This series is about Vera Wong, who is a little Chinese grandmother who is so nosy and so all up in everyone's business that when someone is found dead in her tea shop, she decides she is going to investigate the murder by just like rounding up some people who come to her tea shop and seem suspicious and bringing them food and just talking about their lives. This is very fun. It's pretty gripping. It's pretty fast paced that you can read it in one sitting if you're so inclined. That I think this makes like a great beach mystery read. Another book that I found on Put Downable and devoured in one sitting is Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson. This is about a woman who wants to make it in the fashion industry. So she starts dating the son of this really prolific person in the fashion world, and then she gets invited to their private island for the weekend. She thinks she's going there to schmooze, and instead the servants lead a revolt. And so she's trying to survive the revolt going on as this really rich family is getting what they deserve, honestly. It's set on an island, so vacation vibes, I guess, but honestly, I just really loved this. I devoured it, so I think if you're looking for a bit more of a horror beach read, Guillotine's a really great option. Next book, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This was my favorite book last year, so I had to include this. This is about our main character, Tress, who is really good friends with like the Duke's son, and then the Duke's son is kidnapped by this evil witch, and she, having never left her island before, decides she is going to go save him. And this is like a pirate adventure book, and I think pirates, very beach read. I absolutely loved how beautifully written this book was. I loved all of the characters in it. It was a 5-star read for me, so I definitely would recommend this one if you are looking for like a fantasy adventure to read on the beach. Another fantasy next, again, one that I listened to basically all in one sitting, and a bit more of a comedy fantasy, and that is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. In this one, aliens have landed on Earth and have said that only a select few humans can survive, and to survive, you have to be one of the lucky few to make it to level 10 of the dungeons. We follow Carl, who's one of the people who entered the dungeons, and his efforts to try and survive the different layers of this dungeon, with his accompaniment, his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Sparkletoes, Princess Donut. This was just so fun. People are dying, but it's fun. Like Hunger Games as a comedy is the vibe that I get from this book. So I thought this was a really fun to like read at a beach in one day and have a little bit of relaxing fun time. So that is the next recommendation. And if you want a fantasy that you probably haven't read yet, I would recommend The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks. This is the first book in the Rogues of the Republic series. This is set in a fantasy world where there's a rebellion going on. We follow our main character who is trying to steal back an elven manuscript from the powerful man that now has it. So she puts together a ragtag group of adventurers to go do that. And let me read to you some of the ragtag adventurers that she gets. Cynical illusionist, a shape-shifting unicorn, a repentant death priestess, a talking magical warhammer, and a lad with seemingly no skills at all. These are a lot of fun. I don't see anyone talking about them. I happen to be a fan of Patrick Weeks because they write for my favorite video game series, Dragon Age, bringing awareness that this series exists and is a lot of fun if you wanted a bit of a heavier fantasy that you might not have already read. Those of you who are more into romance, I would recommend Fan Service by Rosie Danan. This is about a main character who was absolutely obsessed with this like werewolf TV show when she was a teenager, had the great opportunity of meeting the lead actor from this show, and he was kind of a dick to her. And then like 15-20 years later, that actor's kind of washed up now because the show ended, and he finds himself turning into a werewolf. So he seeks out the help of the admin of the fan database for this show, which happens to be the girl. So it is a romance between the two of them, but also has some like supernatural elements of finding out you're a werewolf and how to cope with that, which I really enjoyed. It adds a bit more of a complicated layer on top of everything, and the fact that we had such a significant time jump really takes out the creepiness factor from the age gap. So I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was heartfelt and fun and steamy at time, if that's your thing, so I would recommend Fan Service for my romance beach reads. Going back to some more thrillers occurring on islands, I can recommend Look in the Mirror by Catherine Steadman. This is about a woman whose father has died, and in his will, she has been gifted this beachfront property that she had no idea that he had, even though she had a very close relationship with her father. So she goes there, and in the basement, she finds a button. And when she presses the button, she enters like a crazy escape room where she will die if she fails to escape. I love a deadly game, a deadly puzzle, a locked room, so I really loved the action behind this one. It's set on an island, so there's a little bit of a beach tie-in, but it was absolutely thrilling. So I think this one is a good beach read for you this summer. If you are more into short stories, I would recommend Tales from Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett. I am a fan of Jimmy Buffett. I identify as a parrot head. Of course, Jimmy Buffett has to make an appearance on a beach list, obviously. So, Tales from Margaritaville is some short stories written by Jimmy Buffett. All of these center around a like wanderlust spirit. So if you are looking for a short story collection that is very beachy, I can recommend a Jimmy Buffett book. It does have some other books. The only other one I would like wholeheartedly recommend is Swine Not. This is about a family living in like a hotel, and they have a pet pig that they're trying to hide in the hotel. So this one was pretty fun. Not quite as beachy because they live in New York City, but still funny. So these two would be the Jimmy Buffett books that I recommend. And the last book that I would recommend as a beach read is a total nostalgic read for me, and that is The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. Parents used to take us to Mexico at least once a year, and every year I would read these. I would bring the first 7 books and I would read them one a day for the entire time we were there. My copies have a faint smell of sunscreen because I used to read them sitting by the pool. So, for me, rereading the Princess Diaries series is the ultimate beach read. These are a YA series about Mia Thermopolis, who finds out that she is actually a princess. If you have watched the movies, no, you don't know what happens in the books. The movies are very different. First of all, her dad's still alive in these, and Julie Andrews is a completely different character from Grandmère. Some of these might be a little bit dated. I would say, I think it's Princess on the Brink. Don't read that one. That's where it starts to get questionable. But I still really love these, and they have such a nostalgic place in my heart that I would recommend them as a beach read. So that is my little list of beach reads. I honestly just reread this series over and over when I go on vacation. So if you have some beach read recommendations, leave them in the comments so I have a little bit diversity of picks, or just leave the palm tree emoji so I know that you made it this far. Like and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. There's a links in the description to my Goodreads and my Instagram if you want some previews on what I'm reading. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.